Go, because I got you in the green room for a moment, and we'll cover. All right. So, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Ask a Traffic Cop. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. We are just moments away from going live with News Talk 1010, Jerry Agar Show. We do this every once in a while. We bring his stream into TikTok, the radio environment broadcast on our channels, and we are simulcast on to the radio. So we're going to be in both places all at the same time. We are currently broadcasting on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and when we flip the switch at 10 o'clock later on, we'll also be on Instagram Live, but they only give us an hour, so we don't start that when we do the extra large episode. You got to be here to get that. Very shortly, I'm going to get a message from Nick, probably about 3 minutes from now, to say we're ready to go with Jerry. But until that time, let's talk about stuff. It is National Impaired Driving Prevention Week. That's from March 20th to 26th. We're talking about, the whole concept of not driving impaired. No drugs, no alcohol. So that's the topic we're going to talk about in a little while. Of course, we're going to be taking your listener calls and through the radio show from 9:30 to 10, and then we'll be taking your messages through all the different apps and portals, chat, tech stuff. Vision Zero Enforcement Team is out and about today. They are in 32 Division and 51 Division. That's the neighborhoods of Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, St. Jamestown, Cabbagetown, Riverdale. Those are the communities they're trying to help. They're doing it by way of issuing tickets. They're trying to change driver behavior for people who are currently or choosing to engage in the behavior of, it's the big four. That is your speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. They are trying to change driver behavior one ticket at a time, and they're doing a heck of a job doing it. I'm going to refill my water cup because I anticipate talking nonstop for an hour and a half. Yeah, I think it's going to happen.
Okay. Are quick release steering wheels legal in Ontario?
Oh, I should probably turn your microphone on so you can be heard.
Okay. I can hear myself now.
Okay. Q is in the station. Well, it's not a station. It's in actually, it's a police station, not a radio station. But I was going to correct myself. Okay, go ahead.
But I'm not behind bars.
But you're not behind bars.
Okay. Are quick release steering wheels legal in Ontario?
That is an interesting conversation, and we're 60 seconds away from going live on the radio. So we'll talk about it for 60 seconds very, very quickly. It's funny you mention that because we're constantly asked about this. Quick release steering wheels are generally they're for the track. They're not meant for the road. And most manufacturers put it right on the box that it says not for street use. Why would you want a steering wheel that could potentially come off in a collision? Not to mention the fact that you need to remove your airbag in most cases. Now, if you're putting an aftermarket steering wheel and your vehicle never had an airbag, that's not a problem. But quick release, I think you're going to find yourself being considered an unsafe vehicle and likely going to lose your license plates. And it depends on the officer that's going to be investigating. But I'm going to go so far as to say that they're not legal. And I would not put one on my private vehicle unless it was a vehicle only used for the track. If you're going to be asking questions and you want to ask questions even when we're on the air, make sure that you put it in the Q&A. That is the feature or function that allows you to talk to me. The chat is something that I don't get to see. That is specifically members of the moderator group. I got News Talk 1010 in the room, and we'll just get a thumbs up from Nick at some point when we know that we're safe.
The Jerry Agar Show is on
Hey.
the iHeartRadio Talk
Looks
Network.
like we're go.
And it's always a good day when we join the TikTok Traffic Cop. PC Sean Shapiro, Traffic Safety Programs, Traffic Operations, is on TikTok most days talking to people about traffic issues. His TikTok handle is @Traffic Services, and we join into the stream every once in a while and have a conversation. Sean Shapiro, happy Ice Pellet Day.
Ice Pellet Day. I've been looking forward to it for days now.
Sure, it gives your traffic cops something extra to do.
Absolutely. There's never a shortage.
Never a shortage. So here's a question. Driver looking at the phone in hand, but in a big SUV. So the police officer in the car may know what he's doing, but can't actually see the phone. Can they hand out a ticket for that?
Well, here's the deal. I'm not going to issue a cell phone ticket unless I see the cell phone in your hand. What I can tell you is that very often when I'm doing cell phone enforcement, I'm either on foot watching you as you drive by or drive up to a stoplight, or I'm looking at you from an SUV ourselves. Or when I was on my motorcycle during the summers, we're going to have a clear view. There's also this magical invention. They're called mirrors, and they allow a view into the vehicle just as well as they allow a view out. So you may think that you're not seen, but you're very clearly seen. And we do need that to really charge.
What, do you have a mirror on a pole?
No, it's the mirror on the side of your car. So if you think about the side view mirror, you see out, but I can use the same mirror to see you.
So sometimes people think, he's not, but it's not as sneaky as they think.
It's pretty obvious, but it's
All right.
and no one's staring at their lap and smiling for no reason. I've even gotten out of my vehicle at a stoplight, walked up to the passenger door, and seen people in full-on video conference calls down at their lap.
All right. So here are my numbers: 416-872-1010, 416-872-1010, or toll free 877-518-5151, 518-5151, or you can text us at 71010 if you have a question. Here's another one: is it the law that you walk on the left side of the street on roads that have no sidewalks? And well, it's a two-part, so let's just do the first part here.
So yeah, if you're on a street that has no sidewalk, you are supposed to walk into at the side of the road against traffic, so you can see them, so you can see cars that are coming and respond. Otherwise, you're in a more dangerous position. There's actually a charge under the HTA for doing it incorrectly.
All right, and is it illegal to bike on the sidewalk?
So biking in the sidewalk is something that is controlled by the municipal government. So we have bylaws in the city of Toronto that prevent you or make it illegal to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk. Other jurisdictions may have different rules. The deal is, though, that if you're under the age of 14 years old, then you are allowed to ride on the sidewalk. And then it goes further to talk about behavior. So if you're doing something reckless or dangerous on the sidewalk, there's additional charges. But you simply cannot ride on the sidewalk. It's not safe. It's a place for pedestrians, not vehicles.
Here is Mike from Toronto. What's your question for Sean Shapiro? Mike?
I'm at a hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. This is a scenario. I'm at a corner to turn right, but I'm facing an advanced green, who are also, I guess, turning left. I've been told that it's illegal to turn right until that advanced green is finished. Is that true?
That's not correct.
Okay.
They do have the right of way. They have a green light, and while they have to make their turn safely, a person making a right turn on red can only proceed if it's safe to do so. So it is on you to ensure that you can make that turn safely, and assuming that there's no sign saying you're not allowed to go.
So the advanced green light has the right of way, but if Mike sees that it's safe, he can make a right-hand turn on the red.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, thanks. Good question.
Thank you.
Should have said that's correct. There were a lot of rights there.
Yeah. Yes. Here's a text question. Does the law allow volunteer firefighters to exceed the posted speed limit?
Not at all. Volunteer firefighters are, and that's not something we see in Toronto, but essentially they are able to have green flashing lights in their vehicle. It's a courtesy light. It allows people to see that what they're doing and why they're doing it, so they can get out of the way. But it's a courtesy; it's not required under the HTA, and of course, they're not allowed to exceed the speed limit either.
All right, and that's because they're not fully kitted up with the lights and the sirens and all of that.
Well, yeah. So the law is specific to police, fire, and ambulance vehicles, not personal vehicles, and so on. So there's just no exclusion or coverage for that.
Here is Rico from Oakville. Rico, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Sean. I have full appreciation for the 78.1 and want to get into kind of the minutia of something. I have my phone with a magnetic ability to attach to my steering wheel. And if I want to tap in a phone number and it's not in my hand, am I technically in violation of 78.1?
So 78.1 is the handheld communication laws, and yes, you are in violation if you're touching, using, interacting with your phone other than a simple swipe or button press to answer or hang up. That's the extent of what you can do. You're allowed to look at a screen that's in GPS mode, but you can't enter or interact with it as that's considered use. So regardless of how it's mounted, you can't physically interact with your phone while you're driving.
What about the buttons that are factory installed on someone's steering wheel already?
That is a different situation because it's not directly into the phone. You could press, and I can activate Siri from my steering wheel, and then I can give it voice commands. But I can't, start playing with the phone or dialing numbers.
How do you know if I've dialed it or whether I asked it to do it automatically?
Oh, that all depends on what I'm observing. If I'm seeing you touch your phone, typing things in, that's when I'm going to issue you a ticket. I'm not going to issue you a ticket if you're talking to your phone.
Okay.
All right, Rico, thanks for that call. 416-872-1010. I'm going to ask you for a TikTok question here in a second, Sean. But call 416-872-1010 if you're in Toronto to talk to Sean Shapiro, who is both on TikTok and on with us. Toll free, it's 877-518-5151. And you can text us at 71010. What are you being asked about this morning on TikTok?
So many things. I'm just scrolling through, and thank you for the heads up because I started scrolling as soon as you said that you're going to ask me. There's a, let's see here. Well, this is a good question. It comes up on a regular basis. Why is stunt driving on private property illegal?
That
a lot of
ticks people off, by the way.
Yeah, it does, and I understand why, because people believe it's their property and their rights, and they can do what they want. Essentially, the rules were changed because of the behavior of few. That's how most rules take place, whether it be why the office copier and water can't be put in the same place. I'm just saying, but or why we make laws about traffic. It's because people abuse or break rules that become such an issue that the government decides to intervene. So in this situation, we were having these takeover events. People were holding illegal events where stunt driving occurred on public roads and also on private property lots like malls and parking lots. But when they wrote the law, they included all sorts of locations, well, basically everywhere other than racetracks or permitted events that were allowed. The deal is it's dangerous behavior. And when people are doing this, they put others at risk, themselves included. And that's ultimately why they made it illegal. There's no real reason to need to do burnouts or wheelies or stunts of any kind. And
yes, there is.
Which ones? It's fun.
It's fun.
I
And
get
that's why people are upset when you say, I can't go out in the middle of my field on my farm and do what I want in my vehicle.
Here's the reality. We're not hanging out in your field waiting for you. If it's in relation to a complaint, that's when police are going to come out. And more often than not, this is, I think, going to be a situation where people are holding events in their backyards and having unregulated, without safety provisions, events. I don't think this is, and I don't think it's been laid. I don't think there's charges that have been laid in relation to this on farmers' fields as of yet. But it's going to be seen in court. It's going to change over time. And we'll see what happens after some cases make it to court.
Yeah, somebody had just written in, Sean, a text message here, hasn't been tested in court, unlikely to pass muster. Well, I can't predict what the court will say, and each case could be different. But that's true. A law gets passed, and it gets passed against the many because of the actions of the few. But then it really needs to come up in court to find out what the deal is. And it may be that one person goofing around in a lonely farm field getting a ticket is seen quite differently in court than somebody who decides to take a mall parking lot and put an event on.
And that's ultimately what was happening. So it's the intention, I think, the spirit of the law is to deal with those issues where people are trespassing, where people are holding unlicensed events and putting others at risk. If you've ever seen the videos, they're appalling, where people are standing around, walking up and down or between cars that are spinning in circles, taking video, and people are going to get hurt. That was criminal activity. Now, I will say this: if you take that and transplant it to Bob's farmer's field, it's still illegal, right? Like that, and that would be the application. It wouldn't be, someone who spins their tires while they're going down their driveway.
More with Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop, in just a moment on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
All right, we're going to put them in the background so we can chat
9:45 News Talk 10.
Instead of listening to commercials. Because while I appreciate they have to pay the bills, we don't need to make you listen to those. So we'll come back to them in about, I think, 3 minutes. Let's see. Is it 3 minutes? We'll see if Nick gives us an update on that. It's always interesting talking about stunt driving. I know it's a sticky subject, and it's going to be interesting over the next years to come until we see this in court to see what really happens. But it's important to know that the laws are the laws, and when you break them, even if they haven't been tested, the consequences are going to be the same in the interim. You're going to lose your license for 30 days. You're going to get a 14-day vehicle impound. It's going to cost money. Let's see here. How can you... What is this? I don't know what this is. There's some very interesting versions of questions that aren't necessarily written in a way that I can understand them. And I'm guessing at my best, but we'll maybe you can rephrase. If you wrote your question and you're not sure what you wrote, this is an opportunity for you to rewrite it. I'll look back again. Are U-turns at a four-way intersection legal? So you're in the intersection. Here's the deal with with U-turns. They're legal where they're safe to do so as long as they are safe to do so and not signed otherwise. So if there's a sign saying no U-turns, then there's no U-turns. If you're making a U-turn in an intersection and it's safe and nothing happens, you're probably not going to have an issue. But there's very specific areas where it's not permitted, and that's going to be things like bridges, crest of grades and curves in front of railway crossings. There's rules there, and of course within 150 meters of a sign. Can you get a stunt driving ticket on a frozen lake? We've talked about this briefly before, and we don't think that you can because you're not actually on a road. Or is the lake private property? I'm not even sure. At the end of the day, it's dangerous. I wouldn't drive on a frozen lake, never mind stunt drive on a frozen lake. That to me is too dangerous. But I don't have a definitive answer for you, unfortunately. What are the questions on a G2 road test? Well, a G2 road test, is there a written portion of a G2? It's all road test. So I don't know what the questions are because I don't think there are any questions. It's a driving test. I didn't have to do that. I'm old enough to have just gotten my M and my G right out of the box.
Womp womp. Here.
What is that?
Not active.
Oh, where's not active?
YouTube.
YouTube's not working? Really?
Yeah.
Apparently YouTube's not working. Why is YouTube not working?
It's set at 10.
It's set at 10?
Yeah, but you put it for 9:30.
Really?
Okay. It'll go live at 10.
But it should have started when we went live.
Oh, good.
Let's see. I want to see what happened.
Okay.
That would explain why. Oh no, but we have. Let's see here. Yeah, nobody's on you. Maybe YouTube restricted it. We're on Twitch Live. We're on Facebook Live. Maybe we had a boo-boo. Okay. All right. Interesting. Q just brought up an issue with our live stream.
If there's an emergency and we must go to the hospital.
We're back. We might be back. I think we're back. We're going to leave them in the foreground, and then they'll kick in when they're ready. Sorry, I just want to make sure that we're not leaving Jerry hanging. So what we'll do is, in the meantime, we're going to make sure we're going to have a look at what's going on here. And this is very dead air. 90 seconds. Okay. Whew. I had a little panic attack there because I thought we were...
Did you read your own message?
We wanted to jumpstart your heart. Did it work?
Fantastic. We should do this on a regular basis. I feel alive. We just found out that our YouTube stream may not be running right now, but we're just trying to do some tech support in the meantime. But our folks are in TikTok and they're on Twitch and they're everywhere else. Yeah, it won't. I didn't realize that it wouldn't. No, it says 9:30. It says waiting at 9:30. See, it says.
But you scheduled it.
No, it says right here in the box 9:30.
So is that clock wrong?
That's wrong. So we're having an issue with YouTube. It's actually a YouTube issue. Well, at least it's not my fault today.
No, it's not. I didn't say it was.
Oh, okay. No, but if I thought, okay, let's see. Why is that word? No.
I was just letting you
All
know.
right, stand by. We are 35 seconds away.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Well, at least it's, like I said, at least it's not my fault today. It's somebody else's fault. It says waiting. Weird. Okay. Oh, no. Rob Baker's coming in from YouTube, so maybe it's working.
The chat's live. It's just the video is not. Okay, go.
We're ready when they are. They'll bring us in. So weird. Okay. Asking Rob if he can see us. It says waiting. Interesting. I don't like it when things don't work. That's not
You're
friendly.
listening to the Jerry Agar Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Good to have you along, and we have Sean Shapiro with us. PC Sean Shapiro, Traffic Safety Programs in Toronto, Traffic Operations. He's on TikTok on a regular basis at Traffic Services, answering questions, and joins us from time to time. Sean, this is an interesting question. We get a lot of repetition of questions, of course. People don't always hear the answers, and that's fine, but I've heard this question before, and it comes from a motorcycle safety trainer who says he always gets asked, if the motorcycle rider has a cop behind him, the lights come on, and the motorcycle takes off, is it true that the police are not allowed to give chase?
It is not true. Now, I say that because there's different situations for any pursuit. Everything is weighed individually. There is not a blanket will not chase situation for motorcycles. Tends to be that we tend to discontinue chases with motorcycles on a regular basis because they tend not to know how to ride, and we don't want to kill them because they ride beyond their abilities, and bad things happen. What we do is write down license plates, make radio calls, call our friends, and often meet them at their houses when they get home.
Well, you'll appreciate this story. I knew a lady who was a motorcycle cop in Boulder, Colorado, and she said the night that she had to chase a sport bike on a curvy mountain road on her heavy police cruiser, the fun went out of it for her.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't want to engage in a pursuit unless it was a very serious offense. That being said, you've got to be nuts to take off on the police and escalate something that is minor and turn it into something that is major.
Yeah, and there's actually a follow-up question by somebody who wrote in, how do police feel during a chase?
Stressed. It's a high-stress situation. There's a lot to think about besides, your own safety, the safety of the public. You have to weigh everything, and you're not alone in this. You're putting it out over the air, and it's being monitored by dispatch, by supervisors. You are, you're in it with a lot of people, and it's not just up to the driver who's in the police car to abandon it if it's considered dangerous. There's other people making calls with you.
So someone else might say, we suggest you just stop this.
You might be told by dispatch or by a supervisor on the air saying, no, we're not doing it. You cancel and
it's not a suggestion.
No, it's a direction. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, the driver, the police officer involved in the pursuit may also choose to stop because, you think about this. You have busy streets. Is it for a silly? I say silly. Is it for a minor offense? Are we going to put the risk of the public at risk for their safety? Lives are at stake in that situation.
Yeah, God forbid you're chasing somebody because they went through a red light and it ends up killing some kid on the way to school.
Sure. It's just not worth it. Yeah.
Yep. Here is Adam from Toronto. What's your question, Adam?
I have four all about bicycles. One, why do they not enforce the fact that bicycles are supposed to have a light after dark? Two, what is the rules on bicycles riding not in the bike lane on roads that have a bike lane, like a designated bike lane? Three.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's do them at least two at a time here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sean.
So the first one was, why don't we enforce lights on bikes? Well, we do. I've issued the tickets myself. I can't speak for every officer, but I do enforce bicycle safety laws when I'm on the road. And lights on bikes, bells on bikes, stop lights, stop signs, all those things are things that cyclists are responsible for too. I think you'll see a lot of that with bicycle cops out this year educating.
Driver's license if they have one?
No, if there's no motor vehicle involved, that should not affect your driver's license. It's simply a ticket. And as a cyclist, you are required by law to identify to a police officer when you're stopped.
Are you allowed to confiscate?
Oh, yeah, Adam, hang on.
Now, the second thing was, are you allowed to, what are the rules about riding in a bicycle lane or not riding in a bicycle lane if one exists? And there is no law that makes you use a bicycle lane. It's there for your safety, but a bicycle is permitted to use lanes and is not regulated or delegated to only using a bike lane. So it wouldn't be against the law.
Adam, we're going to get some other people in as well, but I appreciate the first two questions. Here's Sheila from Toronto.
Hi, what can be done about people who don't turn on their full headlight system, be it during bad weather and or at night, so that their backlighting system, you can see them from behind?
Yes, the ghost cars, as I like to call them. They can be charged for two offenses if their headlight system's not on. Simply improper headlights. They have to have their headlight system on, and improper brake lights if they're not operating those. They have to be turned on appropriately. What happens is so many people rely on the automatic stuff that they don't even bother checking anymore, and it's a major issue. We try and identify those folks, stop them, educate them, but if they've been doing it, they'll likely just get a ticket for it. Now, new vehicles being manufactured are supposed to be coming with new features where it's always on, so it'll become less of an issue going into the future.
Thanks very much for your question. How do you determine whether or not there's too much tint on windows?
So that's a great question. You're not. So there's a couple of things. You're not allowed to tint your windshield at all. Now, if you have a vehicle that's manufactured before 2017, you can have that 3-inch or 75 millimeter. Yeah, exactly. The front windshield can have up to 3 inches or 75 millimeters from the top of the windshield down, and that's just vehicles manufactured before 2017. Otherwise, nothing's allowed on the front windshield, and we see a lot of that. So that's an easy one. Anything's on there, it's illegal. The windows left and right of the driver are the ones that are regulated and can't be more than 30% light blockage, or 70% light has to get through. And that's a safety standard. When you get your vehicle safety, the mechanic has a device that they're supposed to measure that tint. And if it's beyond 30%, your vehicle's considered unsafe, and you can actually have your license plates pulled along with the windshield tint for having that on there. Can't drive. from a policing perspective, it's not based on a percentage. It's whether or not we can see in the vehicle. You're not allowed to obscure the interior of your vehicle with a color coating or reflective tint, or coating, I should say. And that would, for many, many reasons. One, because it's unsafe, you can't see out as well, but also we can't see in, and making it impossible for us to identify whether or not the driver is drinking, using their cell phone, if they were to flee from a scene, how to describe them. Was it a male, a female, and so on. So there's a myriad of reasons why. But your question, sorry, was to how do we know? Different officers will use different tests. I used to put a driver's license behind the tinted window, and if I can't see the driver's license, I know it's too dark. But obviously, I only stopped the vehicle because I couldn't see the driver at all.
Now, this is a follow-up because of what you were saying when you were talking to Adam about the bicycle rules. And this question comes from the incredible self-regard some bicycle riders have for themselves, because the text is, surely you can't expect a bicycle to come to a full stop at a stop sign.
You know, many people ride bicycles because it's exercise, and nothing is better for exercise than coming to a stop and starting again.
Back up again.
Yeah, so absolutely, we expect cyclists to abide by all the rules of the road, and if they don't want to, then they're going to get tickets for it. It's unsafe. We want cyclists and vulnerable road users to make it to their destinations. We also want to avoid trauma for anybody else who's involved in that. You know, you think about it, someone gets hit on a bicycle. Not only is it the cyclist who's injured, there's an element of PTSD and stress that is now thrust upon a responsible driver who's trying to do the right thing that ends up being in a collision. So absolutely, I expect all road users to follow the laws, not just the ones that are driving.
Here is Frank from Toronto. Go ahead, Frank.
So I'm approaching an intersection, and I'm going to make a right-hand turn into the right lane. And simultaneously, I'm facing someone who's going to make a left-hand turn into the left lane. So we're both going to end up going in the same direction. If an accident should occur at the point where we make the turn, who's at fault and who had the right of way?
You got to back up for 1 second. You're making a right turn, and you have is a controlled intersection?
It's a multi-lane road, Sean. So he can go into what will be the right-hand lane.
It's a two-lane road that we're turning into, yeah.
So you could effectively be going into your own lanes, not to the same lane.
Right.
So if you're,
and we have 30 seconds to answer this question, Sean.
So ultimately, the person making the right, if it's not a red light, in any case, the person, if it's a green light for both, then the person making the cross against traffic has to make sure that it's safe to do so, as well as the person making the right. So it's a bit of a toss-up. I'm a little bit not clear on the conditions of whether or not there was a traffic signal involved, but ultimately, both are responsible. Yes, I think we're going to have to continue
Sean,
next time.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
It's the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
That's too funny. All right. You know, suddenly the pressure's on. We only have 30 seconds. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what the question is. No, I wasn't clear on whether or not that is a left on a green, a left on an advanced, if it's the right is on a red. Because obviously the person who has the green light has the right of way. If it's a situation where you both have a green light, then the person that is making a left across traffic, in my opinion, would not have the right of way. But it depends. And as you know, as they start talking, I start scribbling an intersection down. And yeah, moving on. Okay, we are no longer. Okay, I can go kick up the Instagram feed now, since we are now on our 10 o'clock segment, our own segment where we say goodbye to News Talk, which is always fun. I love spending time with Jerry. He's a great guy. We're going to. Oh, there's so many people here. See, I get my tunnel vision when I'm on with Jerry, and I ignore the chat because I'm not looking at chat. So let's look at who's in chat on our broadband here. We've got Rob Baker, who we said good morning to earlier. Alan comes in and says good morning, Sean and moderators. Happy Wednesday. Mike Quinn says morning, Sean and Q. We have, is it Rico? Able to see and hear you on YouTube. Awesome. Alfredo says, greetings from Argentina to the Toronto Police in Canada. Thank you, Alfredo. Linda says, good morning, hero. Love Toronto Police. We stand with you all. Well, thank you very much, Linda. Linda and Alfredo's the first time I've seen Alfredo, but these other names I see all the time. It's great to see you back. We have a great community across all platforms. Those were coming in from LinkedIn, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Big Jeff Fresh just popped in with a good morning from YouTube. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us again. You guys are awesome. What is happening, Q?
We're good.
Oh, we're good. Okay, we're good. Before we had a little hiccup. We didn't know if we were on YouTube properly, but apparently that is sorted itself out. If you are watching us on any platform, know that we are able to communicate. This is a conversation. We're not just talking at you, we're talking with you. So if you've got questions, feel free to ask them. If you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, you can use the Q&A function. That's the question mark with the bubble around it. That will make sure that I see it and I can put your question on screen when I'm talking to you about it. When I am on the other platforms, that is a big group chat where all the platforms come into a single chat window, no special features needed. The only thing is if you're watching on Twitter, know that I can't actually see your questions because Twitter's broken. Their API is not working properly with Restream, who hosts our ability to broadcast on all platforms. So if you want to be able to ask us questions, please jump over to YouTube. It's Traffic Services Toronto Police. That's our channel. You can get us there. You can also get us at Traffic Services on Twitch. And I think that's it. Or Traffic Services on Facebook if you are so inclined. Oh, and I'm getting Q is over that away on another computer, but in studio, which is awesome. It's the second time that she's been in studio when we actually go live, which is really cool. Now, why am I mentioning that? Because normally things pop up on my screen and it's Q sending me, now Q's waving her arms trying to get my attention. and what she was then saying was, boop the nose, which is, this is me telling you the inner workings of our, So she's asking that if you are enjoying what you're seeing as far as on screen, if this is a value to you, please hit the screen until your finger goes numb. That tells the algorithm that you like us. We've got about 7,500 likes in the room right now. We've had 9 shares, and that means that 9 people on TikTok have sent it to friends and family, people that they care about, who that would get value from the content that we're sharing. So please do that. Please share it with anyone and everyone. And if you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, follow us because we'd love to make sure that you're notified next time we go live. And when do we go live? We go live Monday to Friday now at 10 o'clock till 11 o'clock. Today was an extra large episode. Why? We wanted to make sure that we didn't take away any time from your ability to ask us questions when Jerry Agar comes on. And that little segment was on the air in Toronto on News Talk 1010. Austinator Reed says, hello, I was on TikTok, but they wanted to jump the line and ask their question faster, so they came on YouTube. And that kind of worked. Austin, the question was, can a G driver train a G2 driver? Well, a G2 driver is capable of driving on their own. They're qualified to drive. They're a probationary driver, but they have a license that allows them to drive at any time of the day or night other than between 12 and 5 a.m., and there's some restrictions. But yeah, a G driver can train or teach someone. But would they be the best option? Well, we would like to suggest that driving instructors are the best. Driving instructors are, in fact, the way to go because professional drivers that are teachers, not just professional drivers, but professional in the teaching of driving, that is really what we're what is helpful, because what will happen or may happen is that you may be a great driver, but you may also have some fantastically or less good bad habits. And we don't want those to be carried on to the next generation of driver. But could you? Yes, you can. You can teach someone. May or may not help them, but it is possible to do. So I hope that answered your question and that you came in through Facebook. So thank you to Facebook. What's up?
Ownership. Can we carry a copy of it?
Ownership, can you carry a copy of it? Yes. Vehicle ownership, you have 2 ways of surrendering that upon demand of a police officer when you're involved either in a collision, actually not just of a demand of a police officer, but if you're involved in a collision, you need to be able to provide that to the other parties involved. So you can either have the original or you can have a true copy. What is a true copy? That's a copy of both sides of a valid permit. That is what you have to do. And if you do that, you are meeting the rules. Now, you can do the copy for your ownership. You cannot have a copy of your driver's license. It must be an original. And in terms of your insurance documentation, it is now legal to have an electronic copy. That does not mean a photocopy. That does not mean a picture. It means a copy that was provided to you by your insurance provider, either in app or through a PDF or file that they sent you. Okay, let's go here. Let's see. Do we still need to keep stickers on the plates? I sip water while I can consider my answer. If you have renewed under the new system, I think you're safe to remove it. If you have a current system, current sticker that's valid, and you haven't renewed, I would not take it off. That's my personal suggestion. In terms of whether or not you can be ticketed, as long as you are valid, I don't think you can. But you know what? This is still a rocky start to the new system. I would suggest not making big changes that could draw attention to your vehicle. Hi.
Hey, man. Question. My neighbor had a car break-in and VIN information stolen. What steps would you recommend?
VIN information stolen. Does that mean they took the plate, the VIN number was removed from your vehicle to be used on another vehicle, or they wrote it down? Because I got news for you. The VIN number is visible from the outside of the vehicle. And if they just wrote it down, it's not really stolen. If you mean the ownership was stolen, I don't know what you mean. I just don't know what they mean. They actually removed the placard, because those are not so easy. Those are riveted on the vehicle. So please clarify what you mean. In any case, if the car was broken into, call the police and make a report, because if there was damage, if there was theft, that's something you need to note, and then notify your insurance company and see what the story is there. But I don't know. I don't understand the question from what was actually stolen.
Verbatim says VIN.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what they mean. I know that you know what they said, but I don't know what they mean.
All right,
okay.
Clarify.
They can clarify. We'll come back to this. We will circle back. Austinator has a second question. We'll come back to you. Okay. Big Jeff Fresh says, pretty sure that's just a ticket for four. Oh, no, you're actually responding to somebody else. Caitlin Hebert says, if someone's going 130 in a 90 zone, what happens? 130 over in a 90 zone is a 40 kilometer and over ticket. Big Jeff Fresh is correct. So if the speed limit is if the road is 80 kilometers, under 80 kilometers an hour, so it's a 60, it's a 70, and you do 40 over, that's stunt driving. If it's a 80 or higher speed limit, then it's 40 over for stunt driving. Or if you're at 150, it doesn't matter what the speed limit is of the road, because we have roads that have 110 kilometer an hour speed limits. 150, which is only 40 over, is still stunt driving. Yes. Mike Quinn from LinkedIn, that has an excellent flow. It says, is there an official driving or passing lane on a two-way roadway? What's the etiquette? So in a multi-lane highway, an expressway, we talk about the passing lane. In a regular road, we don't usually refer to the left lane as a passing lane. It's just a lane. That being said, if you're going to be slower moving, you should stay to the right. Allow faster moving vehicles to use the left lane to pass. I would never call it a passing lane, but it is certainly etiquette to stay to the right. Now, oddly enough, many people want to ask, well, what about people doing the speed limit? And other people want to pass because they want to exceed the speed limit. I have my personal opinions on there because no one should be speeding. In my opinion is that if you're doing the speed limit, you shouldn't have to get out of the way for someone who is wanting to break the law and put others at risk. That being said, is it safer to simply move to the right when possible and allow those who choose to make the roads more dangerous for everyone to pass you? To prevent conflict. Stay to the right if you can. It may not be possible. Okay. What is a good job to put on a resume for police? One that you've actually done. Falsifying. You can't just add them. Q's dying over there. The deal is that your history is your history. I would not go and apply for a job just so it looks good on a resume. Do what you can do. Getting a good job isn't always easy. Consistent employment, consistent education, these are good things. You don't have to get a special job. You don't have to become a security guard because there's no benefit necessarily of working in security before becoming a police officer. You could be an accountant. I always use the accountant that's my go-to. Having that kind of experience is great. Having a bookkeeping experience, these are good things. Anything is good as long as you have a good relationship with your employer and you're not jumping every week to a new job. Volunteerism, if you want to look for something good, volunteer in your community. Not only is it good, it's a requirement. You've got to be giving back to the community that you want to serve. When does everybody get a refund for their stickers? My understanding is end of April. If you're waiting for that check, it's government. It might take a little longer.
Dory.
Hey, in case you don't know who I am. That was smooth, wasn't it? My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. And what do? Well, I'm a media relations officer attached to traffic services. I work at traffic safety programs. We talk about traffic safety, traffic law. We do it online so we can share this great information with you. We have this unique thing called Ask a Traffic Cop, which is what you're watching right now. And that allows you to ask me questions about traffic and police and stuff. So if you've got questions, feel free to use the Q&A function. I'll get to them. We are here until 11. It's a whole 50 more minutes, maybe even 55. We may go over by a minute or two. And we do this Monday to Friday from 10 to 11. Today was an extra large episode because we were on the air with News Talk 1010 talking to the Jerry Agar Show, where his listeners called in and asked questions too. For anyone who's wondering, what is a traffic services? Because that's what the name of the channel is. Traffic services is the unit that I belong to. It's the citywide traffic unit for the city of Toronto. Okay. How is the tow pilot going? It's a good question. The tow pilot is something that's taking place on the 400 series highways. It's an OPP pilot. We have had regulated towing forever. As far as I know, it's going well, but I'm not really in tune with it because it's an OPP initiative. What's happening?
Do you want to redo VSAT?
I could redo VSAT. We talked about it at 9:30, but you know what? There is never a time when I don't want to talk about VSAT. Vision Zero Enforcement Team, that's what we're talking about when we say VSAT. They are a group of officers that focus on the big four. They're an enforcement team. They are trying to change driver behavior to make the road safer, and they do it one ticket at a time. Every day, through analytics, big brain people tell us where to go, where we need to focus our attention on people who speed, aggressive drivers, distracted drivers, and impaired drivers. Today, they're in 32 Division and 51 Division. That's Downsview, Willowdale, Newton Brook, St. Jamestown, Cabbagetown, and Riverdale. Those are the neighborhoods that they're focusing on. Now, that's not to say that you won't get a ticket if you're not in those neighborhoods. We have police officers throughout the city who will stop you and charge you for violations under the Highway Traffic Act. But they are focused on areas that have a particular concern or problem. And I say that because they're using analytics. They know where they need to be, and they're doing what they need to do. What are good schools in Ontario for policing? I don't have any schools to suggest. I know there's lots of programs at various colleges that offer police foundations, but police foundations isn't a requirement. It is a something to have if you don't have something else. So if you want to take accounting, if you want to become a lawyer, a doctor, anything, get an education, continue your education. The more education, the better. It's a competitive process. And we are hiring. We are hiring. Go to www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. On that page, you will see postings for civilians, for police officers, for, I believe even volunteers actually, I know volunteers do, because I was an auxiliary. That's how I started. I volunteered for the service. I had so much fun. I became a paid member. I did both of those things for many years and then traded 2 uniforms in for 1 and became a police officer. So if you've got questions about policing, about becoming a police officer, feel free to ask. What is this? So for the G2, what is this? So for the G2 license, can I drive anywhere in Ontario? I think you mean Ontario because it got cut off after in. Yeah, a G2 license can drive interprovincially. You can drive anywhere in Canada. You can drive into the United States. You have a driver's license. However, you must maintain and follow the conditions. So no alcohol unless at all. You can't have any alcohol, 0 BAC, blood alcohol content. You cannot drive between the hours of 12 and 5 in the morning. And if you, in the first 6 months and second 6 months, you have conditions as to the passengers you can carry. Hey, there's that link that I can put up on TikTok in regards to our careers. tps.on.ca/careers also works. So the question Rob Baker asked is, what's the charge for 49 over in a 110 kilometer an hour zone? As I mentioned earlier, 49 over would put you at 159. Well, it's actually any speed over, once you hit 150, regardless of what the speed limit is, it's stunt driving. And the fine is going to be up to court. The range is from $1,000 to $10,000. The suspension range on your first conviction is 1 year to 3 years. That's in addition to the 14-day impound and the 30-day driver's license suspension that you would get roadside immediately upon being charged. Okay. Can you get a ticket for loud music? Why, yes, you can. There is a charge called unnecessary loud noise. Just unnecessary noise. I read loud, I said loud. Unnecessary noise is a charge under the Highway Traffic Act. It can be laid for someone who's honking their horn unnecessarily, have loud exhaust pipes, or revving their engine unnecessarily. It can be laid for playing loud music. And it's all about unnecessary. If it's got nothing to do, then nothing to do with the safe operation of your vehicle, it's not allowed.
I like spam on my sandwich.
You like spam on your sandwich, but not in your chat room? That is what's happening right now. We got about 465 people in our chat right now. That's just on TikTok. We've got people on all platforms who are coming in to ask questions. And there are some people who are just trying to get attention. They weren't hugged enough, and thus they are spammers, trolls. I appreciate that you may find entertainment in this. I may appreciate you might be trying to tick me off, but you're not, because I'm not looking at your chat. I can't see what you're saying, so it's of no effect to me, no consequence. What you are doing is abusing the other people in here who, just want to get their questions answered. And I for that, say, please stop, because you're annoying them. Also, the people who are interacting, those moderators, they are volunteers from our community. They are not paid members. They are not police officers. So again, you're just hurting people. Oh yeah, also they'll mute you and kick you out of the room. Just saying. Well, this is a good question. How are speed limits calculated on roads and highways? And I think what you mean is, how are they determined and set? That is going to be based on road engineers, public policymakers, government. It's not a police function to set speeds. That being said, we are very big on something called Vision Zero. You can look at that. If you Google Vision Zero TO, Vision Zero Toronto, we talk about that, and the city talks about that a lot. That is where we try and protect vulnerable road users through design, setting speed limits, and also enforcement, and that's the part that we're involved in. So essentially, there is a move to slow roads down. The lower the speed, the less serious a collision occurs, or the less serious the injuries and consequences when a collision occurs. Because we do acknowledge that collisions are going to occur. It's just a matter of when, and if they lead to serious injury and death, we additionally say that those are preventable and unacceptable. So, for example, if you were to hit a pedestrian at 60 kilometers or more, the likelihood that they would die is high. If you reduce that speed to 30 or 40 kilometers an hour, their chances of survival go up dramatically. Yes. Hi.
Hi. Can I carry a bat for self-defense in my car?
Can you transport a bat for self-defense? So carrying weapons, because when you say it's for self-defense, that is a weapon because you've determined it's a weapon. If you're going to play sports because you play baseball and you have it in your back, in your trunk because it's your baseball bat for playing baseball, that's not a weapon. And if you at any point determine that it becomes a weapon because you're using it as a weapon, then it is a weapon. So it's a complicated answer, I know. But effectively, you're not. It's not a prohibited weapon. It's not a prohibited device. You can't walk around swinging it, and if you might find yourself in a situation, but you can transport a bat. Does that work in a very roundabout way? Let's see here. Rob Baker says, so this is a follow-up to the stunt driving. Do I get my car taken on scene, and are you arrested? So you do lose your vehicle at scene. You will likely get a ride with the tow truck because you're not getting arrested. We're not taking you into custody. We're issuing a ticket, and then you're on your own. And if you may have to call a taxi, depends on whether the tow truck will take you. But we won't leave you on the side of a highway. We'll get you off the highway. But you do lose your vehicle immediately. Is vaping while driving distracted driving? It depends on where you are, because I've been told that in some provinces it is. However, in Ontario, where we are, it is not. It could be careless driving. You know, if you're focused on vaping and not driving, and you're all over the road, that could be an issue. It would be an issue if I saw you. And if you're fogging the car because the vape is so strong a mist that you can't see out the window, there's a whole bunch of issues with that. And careless could be one of them. Okay. So, and also, if you have a passenger under the age of 16, it's illegal. So you cannot have anybody in the car under the age of 16 for cigarettes or vaping. And of course, I keep thinking of Q's messages. I'm not even seeing them; they're already in my head. If the vape contains anything that is prohibited, some people have CBD in their vape. Some people have THC in their vape. If it's a prohibited content, if it's drugs or a controlled substance, that would obviously make it totally illegal.
It's because you probably sense me shooting daggers from over here.
Yes, I can feel.
Fill in the blanks, sir. Cover our bases.
Thank you for covering the air as I refilled my water. Okay. Oh, what to do when I found a prohibited weapon on the road? Okay. If it's a prohibited weapon, call the police. Police will attend and take it. I was once upon a time dispatched to a call in a park. Someone had found a gun. Now, this particular gun was rusted beyond words because it was in the bottom of a lake. They were dredging an area that had been drained, and they were doing a cleanup. They found a gun, so I went and took said gun, and sent it in to those who investigate said guns. Okay. Will I get charged if my license plate is peeling? Yes. It is your responsibility as a driver, vehicle owner, and so on to ensure that your vehicle plates are plainly visible. If they're not, you need to get them replaced. If you want to get them replaced, or not want to, but if you're going to get them replaced, go to the MTO. If it's within 5 years, there's no charge. If it's beyond 5 years, they may charge you, I believe it's $52. If it is, let's see, if it is a B series plate, my understanding is that they've extended those because they have acknowledged a warranty issue or what is it called? No good.
Defective.
Defective. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah. So those I've heard of people 7 and 8 years getting those replaced. It's probably 7, and I'm just adding time because we're approaching that 8-year mark. Maybe I don't know. I'm making it up. Okay.
Brass knuckles.
Brass knuckles are a prohibited weapon. Those are a no, not permitted. Period. You can get arrested for having them.
I hope you heard that, Ashton.
Ashton wants maybe, and that's no. In some states, you might be allowed to have them.
He found them at a park.
Oh, yeah. You could deliver them for destruction, or you could call the police and have them. They'll send a car if you don't want to touch them. Touching things is bad because fingerprints get messed up. What is this? No proof of insurance after ticket. Do they let go or tow? No proof of insurance after ticket. Do they let go or tow? So here's the deal: if you get a ticket for not providing insurance, the proof of insurance at the time you're pulled over, you get a ticket. Now, if you, I understand now. I had to say it 16 times in my head before. So yeah, if you have no proof of insurance, but we believe that you have insurance, or we can verify that you have insurance, but you can't show proof, we may let you drive, simply not having the card. If we believe that there's no insurance on the vehicle, at that point you're not driving. At that point, you're going to have to call a tow. We'll tell you that, and then we will lay the charge. And that charge has a $5,000 to $25,000 fine attached to it, and up to 6 months in jail. Okay, let me delete that now that it's off. Now that we've read it, can a CO, a peace officer, so court officer, I'm assuming you mean court, it could be corrections officer, have red and blue flashing lights on their personal car? You're not a police officer. So on a personal car, no. Police officers don't have flashing lights on their personal cars either. The only time that we would have a vehicle that is unmarked, that has blue flashing lights on it, or red and blue, would be if we were driving a police vehicle. Personal cars don't get flashing lights. What? If a person stands on a parking spot not allowing you to pull in, what's the best course of action? My suggestion would be find a different parking spot, because those things tend to escalate into things where police get involved and charges get laid. It's silliness. Someone wants to reserve a parking spot by standing in it. Don't drive into them. That becomes vehicular assault. That is bad. It's a parking spot. Find another one. I don't know any other advice to give you. It's just not worth it. And OVO Robert, happy birthday, Robert. I understand that today is the day. Actually, no, I know that because I saw a picture of you with a cake in hand. Happy birthday to you. Let's see here. Okay. A follow-up question here, and then we're going to move back from Instagram questions. I feel bad because you guys weren't live earlier, so you lost out on all sorts of timing. When do points reflect on a license abstract after receiving a ticket? Does it show up right away, or will the points show up after a court decision or before that? So the answer is that points are awarded once a conviction is registered. So if you go to court or you pay the fine, a conviction of guilty is registered, and the Ministry of Transportation is the organization that adds the points because it's for their tracking. And something that people don't seem to understand about points, nobody cares about it except the MTO, because they're the ones who use it to track whether or not you need to have a course or be warned about your driving behavior or to be suspended. Insurance companies care about all offenses, not just the ones involving points. Okay. Q, you look like you have a question.
How long do points last on your record?
Points last on your record 2 years from the date of offense but are only registered after conviction. So if you're in court 2 years after the date of offense and you're found guilty, those points will never actually be there, but your conviction will remain for 3 years after your conviction date. So it's confusing. I know. Is police foundations necessary to be a cop? Not at all. It is an opportunity, a different avenue for education. There are benefits to both having that or to having something else, because becoming the most unique candidate is a good thing as much as having mainstream education. I say mainstream. I don't know if police foundations is truly considered mainstream or not. It has become very popular. I did not have police foundations when I applied. I still became a police officer. I did take a police foundations leadership program later on, so there's benefit to it. It's not a necessity. Can you get a DUI on a bicycle? Driving under the influence is what the reference or impaired driving charge. No, okay. It depends. And people are probably going, what? He said that. I'm just using a different way of saying it. So, bicycle, no electric power, simply pedal? No, you can't. If it is a bare bones pedal-only bicycle that only runs on muscular power, then no, you cannot be charged or arrested for impaired operation. If, however, you have an e-bike, because people sometimes think those are bicycles, well, then you can. You can be arrested for operating an e-bike, anything electrical. Sorry, anything other than muscular power or a conveyance. So if you're operating a boat, I think even if it's a rowboat, you can't do it. But if it is actually, no, I keep blending those lines. I think that's just a liquor licensing thing. I got to look it up again. But I went the confidence out the window. I keep talking about rowboats. There's a liquor license thing. You can't consume alcohol in a boat, even if it's So, but for operating, for driving, there's going to be anything other than muscular power. So, no for a skateboard, but yes for an electric skateboard. I want to say that. I think that works. Anything other than muscular power. Boom. We talked about how long to points last, so I can remove that question. Can you get a DIY on a horse? It's still muscular power, so I'm going to say no. So in Ontario, Ontario? Okay, this is, so Q puts up on screen. In Ontario, if your boat is equipped with permanent toilet, cooking facilities, and sleeping facilities, on a boat, passengers may legally consume alcohol. But they also have to be moored. It has to be like anchored down. You can't just be while you're driving. Yeah. Okay. Do I have to stop for unmarked police vehicles? Only if they're pulling you over or have their lights and sirens active. Unmarked police vehicles and there's a difference. There's unmarked enforcement vehicles, so obviously those, and there's undercover cars. Those we would never tell you were police because they're undercover. Then there's plainclothes cars, and those are not generally used in enforcement capacity. But yes, you'd still have to stop for them. You see red and blue behind you, you got to pull over, regardless of the type of vehicle it is, whether or not you think it's the appropriate vehicle to be pulling you over. You see the lights and you hear a siren, even if you don't hear a siren, you got to pull over. If you don't, that becomes a pursuit. Okay.
Boop the snoop.
Q wants you to hit that button, whether it be the like, the follow, the subscribe, depending on the platform you're watching us on. Q says you got to do it. It just helps us out. If you follow us, if you like us, if you share the vid, it does do things to the algorithm to help share our streams to more people so they can have access to more information. And that's what we're all about. Our goal here is to educate. Our goal is to dispel misunderstandings and false information. We want to get you the answers to the questions that you have so that you can be a safer driver, a ticket-free driver. I read the greatest comment yesterday, and it was someone who had been watching us for some time and said, I've been watching, I think it was 6 months, and I haven't had a ticket since. Why? Because I watch your stuff, and I know things now that I didn't know before, and thank you very much to that person. You know who you are. Performance tires for road use illegal, not slicks. If it's a performance tire for road use, that's legal for the road, it's for road use. There are requirements for tread depth and so on. But yeah, as long as it's not for track only, then you'd be okay. Performance doesn't mean illegal. Performance, it has to be a legal street tire. Okay. Ashton Sign says, collab with Safe Communities. We have to. We've been talking about it for ages. We've been on the ride with Safe Communities since the beginning. They are awesome folks that are in Brooks, Alberta. I've been on their lives before. They've been on our lives before. We'd like to do it again because they're awesome. And one of their members has an awesome hat. Not all of them have awesome hats, but he does.
Where are our hats?
What are our hats? I don't wear my hat. So we now have this. This is the I can't wear it with my cans on. Cans being headphones. Yes, that's my hat. We went to baseball caps. That's a change in our uniform. We had been forage cap forever and ever. We've never had a Stetson. I'm kind of disappointed about that. I think the Stetson's cool. Yes. Hey, Jenna's back in Toronto. And hi, Jenna. Good to see you. Jenna's a friend to the show. She's been watching us since the very beginning. Okay. If cops speeding without lights, can I speed too? No. Police, fire, and ambulance are legally permitted to exceed the speed limit. Legally. Additionally, we're allowed to use our cell phone and handle communication devices and so on legally because there's an exemption under the HTA. You are not. You're not allowed to speed for any reason. Even in an emergency, you're not allowed to. I don't know why this is so hard for many people to understand. We're the police. We have to get to places, and not always do we need to put our lights on. So if you are choosing to speed next to a police vehicle, know that they may turn around, or another police vehicle who watches you do it might decide to pull you over and rightfully charge you. Okay. Why don't tractors need license plates? Implements of husbandry are not vehicles that are licensed for the road in a normal fashion, but are permitted to travel on the road as slow-moving vehicles. But they have to be qualified as implements of husbandry, which is cool words for stuff for farming. Okay. How does TPS training look like? Is work. TPS training, well, it depends if you're talking about for becoming a police officer. Essentially, when you're hired after you've qualified and done everything, your first day at the college, you're essentially in pre-Elmer, Elmer, and then post-Elmer. What does that mean? Well, Elmer is the Ontario Police College in Elmer, Ontario. We prepare you. Our police college here, the Toronto Police College, gets you ready for that. You're sent off to go complete that, and then when you come back, you have more training. And then once you're finished that training and you had your graduation and you're all hunky-dory, then you are sent off to a division where you're assigned, and you spend, I believe, 10 weeks with a coach officer before you're permitted to go off on your own. Quotas? Who says quotas? There are no quotas. It is one of my favorite topics to discuss. What's my favorite analogy? Here's the deal. Doesn't matter where you work. If you work at McDonald's, if you work at as a stockbroker, whatever you do, you're expected to be working while you're paid. How do people measure the work that you do? Well, we review things like how many calls did you go to? Because you were assigned to those by dispatch. How many tickets did you write? Sure, we look at it because you need to be able to see you were busy. You can't go to Timmy's and knock back coffees all day. That's not giving the taxpayers what they pay us for. But interacting with the public like this, I don't write any tickets. And here I am talking to you. And this is still doing work. So there are no quotas, and I don't have to write any particular number of tickets. In fact, my sergeant says I can write as many as I want. And that's exactly what I do when I'm on the road. I see something, I write something. New York has see something, say something. I see something, write something. Just saying. What is this? How old does a car need to be imported? 15 years is the threshold for. You can import things that are newer, but you're going to be paying additional fees. And I believe there is a 15 years is the threshold for most vehicles, if not all vehicles. Yeah, and that would prevent, like for right-hand drive vehicles and so on, things that would normally be printed in.
Good job.
Well, thank you very much. Do MPs have the same authority as they do on base? They do in relation to members of the military, but no, not to everybody else. They don't. They are not regular police. They have full authority with their members and on base, but everywhere else they are not.
Is there a law against having a light bar on your vehicle?
What color is your light bar? You could have an amber light bar. Securities vehicles have those all the time. Having a red and blue light bar might be an issue depending on how it's used. Activating it for sure, but simply having it there. The question is, why would you have it there? So if you have it and it's to make yourself look like a police officer, that could be impersonation. That could be criminal. So it depends.
Can we use it on public roads?
Depends on what color we're talking about. So if you had a red and blue light bar because you had a movie car on a private property or in a closed set, you could use it. If you were using it on public roads, that's a good way to get arrested, or at very least fined. You can't have sirens. You can't use those lights for traffic clearing purposes. You just don't put them on your vehicle. It would be a bad idea. Pull over to use cell phone. Do I have to turn the engine off and remove keys first? It's a good question. You have to be legally parked. You don't have to turn off the car. You don't have to remove your keys. The engine can be running, but you have to be legally parked. So if you pull over in a no stopping zone, guess what? That's still eligible for a handheld communication ticket. You must be legally parked. You cannot interfere with the flow of traffic. You cannot just pull over and stop. Many people do it, not allowed to.
White was the follow-up.
Sorry,
light bar.
Which light bar?
White.
White. Again, white light is not against the rules, but using it while you're driving would be. You'd be blinding people. You can only you can't direct white light in every direction. It's only permitted to the front. So if you are projecting white light to the sides and rear, you might be blinding people for one, and it would be an issue that you'd be stopped and ticketed. It was good. I've never had that question before.
Okay. Can we address not inciting dangerous acts on the road?
Oh, we have silly people trying to be tough and fancy. Suggesting people do dangerous things is not good. What if someone listens to you and actually hurts themselves? That's. I know that people are hearing this and going, I don't care. But please don't incite or suggest people do silly things, because some people will listen to you and actually take you seriously. This is internet protocol, etiquette. Just mind your business. Okay.
What about delivery drivers having to stop over?
Stop over where?
On the side of the road to accept deliveries.
So for deliveries, it's different than cell phone use. If you are in a no stopping zone, obviously you can't. No parking zones do allow drop off and quick deliveries in most cases. Erin Urquhart, she'll have to come by. Maybe she'll drop in tomorrow and talk about parking. But if you have parking questions, you should check out the what is it? Parking TPS?
TPS.
It's Parking TPS. I always want to say TPS parking, but it's not. It's Parking TPS because we got to do it backwards. We got to be special. Everyone's got to be special. Okay, it's Parking TPS, and it's also TPS _ Bikehart, BIKEHART. Those would be 2 TikTok questions. That would be fantastic. And I gotta get rid of Amigo here on Twitch. Let me block that person. All right. There we are. They wanted to sell users to become famous on Twitch. We're good. We don't need to be famous.
Did you tell them maybe they should follow us on TikTok?
The people who they were watching on Twitch. They think we have 5 followers.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Show them your TikTok.
Little aside. I love when people say, what are you doing for the police? Well, I'm on social media. Oh yeah, what does that mean? I go on TikTok. Oh yeah, what's your account? And I tell them traffic services, and they go, you have 500,000. They freak out. I'm like, yeah, but we talk about traffic stuff. It's important. It's always funky too. Quick story. I was talking to a couple of guys in the change room. We had change room conversation because they're neighboring lockers, and they were saying that they were out they went into a park. They were I guess pulled over to do their was it report or something. Anyway, they found themselves in a park, and there were some tough guys in the park, and they had a conversation, and the guy said, where do you work? It says traffic services. I watched the Sean Shapiro show. They were people. They were fans. So if you're watching there, they told me the story, and that was really funny. That's awesome. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a follower. Much appreciated. We appreciate you. And they thought you were tough guys.
Can I call 911 when I'm driving?
So oddly enough, these are topics that are coming out in the video that I didn't actually press send on before starting the day, but we're going to put that out right after this. And yes, you can. If you are calling 911 for an emergency, then most definitely you can call using your phone. You don't have to use hands-free. You can hold it, you can touch it, you can put it to your ear, because there's an exemption under the Highway Traffic Act for that purpose. When you're making an emergency call to the police, to 911, you're exempt. I've had people say, well, it's an emergency. Who are you calling? Well, I had to call my babysitter to tell them to feed the dog because the dog hasn't eaten. And yeah, that's not an emergency. It may be an emergency to you. It doesn't qualify for the purposes of using your phone. Top tips for becoming a police officer. I haven't talked about this in a while. Be the best candidate you can be. That is, stay in shape, eat right, do the best you can to be physically, because it's a physical job, but it's a physical application and testing. Mentally, get good sleep. Work on your resume in terms of making sure it's concise and neat and says what you want it to say. Obviously be truthful, but make sure it's the best representation of you, because before they meet you, they're going to be seeing you on paper and electronically. So it's all electronic now. In any case, make sure spelling errors, they matter. Be grammatically correct. It's a representation of you. Make sure that so your health, your physical, your written. Make sure you have continued your education and employment. Don't have big gaps. If you have 2 years where you did nothing, you have to be able to articulate why you had nothing. Were you saving babies at a shelter somewhere, or volunteering somewhere? That's great, but you got to make sure you represent and account for all of the time. Did you take time off to go back to school? Great. Make sure you can talk about all those things. So be the best candidate, take courses. Volunteerism is possibly the biggest. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm not a recruiter. I'm just giving you my personal take on it. They may have different takes. Things may have changed since I got on. But being a volunteer, giving back to the community that you want to represent, huge. It's huge. You need to be doing that. Don't walk up, expect to be a police officer. You've never done anything for your community. I just don't think that puts you in the best light. That's the long play. That's the outro music.
What's this one?
Right now nothing. Hang on.
That one.
Yes.
Tint.
Q wanted to know what button to press to make that noise. Tint. We talked about this with Jerry Agar. So the rules with Tint. You have two things to know. Actually, there's way more than that. The deal with Tint is that you can have no more than 30% light blockage of the windows left and right of the driver. You can have nothing on the front windshield, save and except for a 3-inch brow or sun strip, but that only is permitted on vehicles manufactured before 2017. So if you have a 2017 or newer vehicle, nothing at all permitted on the front windshield. People say, why? Well, doesn't matter why. It's not legal. It's not safe. In fact, if we found you with your windshield tinted, you could either remove it or we'll take your license plates and you can go reapply for them after getting a safety, because you cannot get your vehicle safetied with tinted windows beyond 30% light blockage on the windows left and right of the driver, or anything on the front windshield. So that would be a bad day for you. Additionally, you cannot block our ability to see in. So if your tint is so dark that you are obscuring the interior of your vehicle from view by either having it tinted with color or reflective coatings, that's also illegal, and that's charges for $110 on that. The windows behind the driver and all the way to the back in the cargo area go as dark as you want. You don't even have to have windows. You can paint them opaque, black, no see-through. However, you must have at least one mirror with a clear view to the rear. That's the deal. I don't think I've done that in a while. We talked other than twice today. It feels like we haven't talked about tint recently.
Ashton wants to know, how do you test the windshield tint?
You see it. If I look at the windshield and it's tinted, it's tinted. Yeah, there's no testing. It's not a matter of how much tint. It's whether the tint exists. I've seen pictures and videos and people peeling tint off so they don't get a tow truck situation where they lose their plates and get towed.
Plate covers.
Oh.
We need you to... Thank you.
Get those buttons remapped. The deal with plate covers is any cover, anything that obscures or obstructs the license plate from being easily read, for making it legible. That's illegal. Now, dirty plates, you can't have them dirty either. It doesn't matter if it's clear, if it's just a frame around the side. It doesn't matter. You can't have it, and it's a $110 ticket. What's up?
So if it's a frame and it's a cover, is that a cover or is that a frame?
If it's a frame with a cover, it's a cover. If it's a frame with no cover, it's a frame. But anything that obstructs or covers any portion of that plate, yours to discover, Ontario across the top. Any obstruction is a violation, is not allowed.
Don't cover your plate, guys.
Don't cover your plate. And people say, well, dealership plates. You buy a new vehicle, it comes with a dealership plate. Those are illegal. You can't cover your plate. You can't frame your plate.
What about the clear ones?
Which clear ones? You're talking about a totally clear? It's still an obstruction. They're not legal. Now, do we go and pull over every single vehicle we see? No. Why? Because we have priorities. If we waste our time on people with license plate covers, we're not focused on the things that really matter. And I say that we don't focus. Does that mean we will not ticket you? No, we will ticket you. And especially if you're speeding and you have a license plate frame, that's 2 for 1. But the primary focus of what we do is to make the roads safer. And sometimes that means making sure we can read your plate, because that's got something to do with it. Unlicensed vehicles. These are all clues, right? I see a vehicle with a license plate cover. I run the license plate. I had to look twice because it wasn't easy to read. Then I find out you have no insurance, and so on and so forth. It's all about investigating. So I'll write a ticket for that. But I'm obviously more interested in cell phone users and speeders, because that's my thing.
Okay. Still on license plates.
Okay.
Can we remove stickers from it?
We've talked about that before. If you have renewed under the new system, then yes, I think you're safe to remove it, because we are going to be relying on running the plate and making sure it's updated in the system. If your license plate is expired, and then it's expired, it doesn't matter whether you have stickers or not. So renew under the new system. Go to the MTO. You can check out how to do that. It's free. You can do 1 or 2 years. I don't know why anyone would choose 1 year, but whatever. Renew it. And when it's renewed, I think you're safe to remove it. If you're not renewed it in the new system, and it says you're not required to renew until July, I'd wait until you renew. That's just my opinion. You may be okay, but I would suggest waiting until you're renewed. Let's see here. Oh, It's Driller wants to know, I have a question. Can I get high school volunteer hours for helping and becoming a moderator in TikTok chat? Oddly enough, we've talked about making people official volunteers of the Toronto Police. So right now, our moderators have applied. We are putting together a volunteer program where people can volunteer, and it would be legitimate volunteering. I just don't know if it would be a certificate program. I don't know. That's a question that we have to talk to the folks at our employment unit that handle volunteer stuff. But it is something that's interesting. We've talked about it. I just don't know what the requirements are for school. I don't know if your school folks would think it's enough. So it's to be continued. Message us, and you can DM me. Or you can does Twitch allow communication? Yeah, you DM me on Twitch.
Not on yours.
No, not on mine.
Unless you're on Friends.
So go to Twitter. You can get us at Traffic Services on Twitter. You can get us at Traffic Services on TikTok. You can get us where else? You can get us on Instagram, Traffic Services Toronto. YouTube. You can message us anywhere, but apparently Twitch no. In any case, let me know what you're doing. We'll try and find out. And when we actually have the system where we're taking more people on, we will reach out.
I need to interrupt. We need to follow back up with this question.
Okay.
Are dogs allowed to ride in the box of a truck?
So, are they in secure load? Are they? Yeah, you can't have anybody in the back, people or animals. We talked about the fact that Aaron's here.
Oh, I should have yelled that then instead.
We had questions about. We'll come back to dogs in the back, but actually, just as a thing, people can't be in the back. Animals, if they're insecure, you could be looking at things. You could even look at animal cruelty in certain situations. I think it depends on every situation, but no, they're not permitted there. What was the question? It was about parking. It was what was it?
Parking on the side of the road and using their phone for delivery.
Oh, no, that wasn't for the phone. We talked about that because it's not permitted. Parking at the side of the road. It was about delivery drivers. Was it the cell phone they were asking about, or was it the parking? So they wanted to know about where you could make deliveries. That was the question. It always comes up. This is the same question. So a delivery driver wanted to know, can they pull over to access their device for deliveries? Not unless it's legal for them to deliver there. So I would say that because the law for handheld communication device says you have to be legally parked. Well, if a delivery driver is legally delivering and allowed to temporarily park there for the purposes of delivering, could you acknowledge a thing? I think you could. But what's the rule of where you can deliver?
For making deliveries? Yes.
Deliveries.
Yes. Yeah, so as you know, we get this question a lot on both of our channels. So I have multiple videos on this on both the parking TPS and my channel, TPS_bike cart. If you're interested in those, go to those pages, which are both my pages, and go check them out. But the answer is side streets in no parking zones, not arterial roads like Yonge Street, Bay Street in the downtown core, side streets in metered areas. So the green PED metered on-street parking, so where you pay by the app or at the meter, you can park there for 10 minutes with a delivery sign on your dash, or in side street no parking areas. So that is just the regular no parking sign with the P with the slash through it.
What about no stopping zones and no standing zones?
Absolutely not.
No go.
Yes, no go. So no stopping is no stopping. It's no stopping. You can't stop there, especially for a delivery. And no standing. A lot of people don't even know what the actual meaning.
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Tell
so
us.
I mean, it's funny you asked that because people actually were like, I thought that meant like no standing, like as a pedestrian, like on the sidewalk. No, so no standing is meant for literally just stopping quickly to pick up and drop off passengers. So you cannot unload or unload merchandise or, food deliveries. It's literally to just pull up, pick up your person, or discharge your person that you are dropping off.
And for I usually have a follow-up question about the accessible permits. Accessible permits can park in no parking zones, but cannot park in no stopping or no standing zones.
Correct. There is a branch off in no standing zones meant for people with accessible permits for like loading areas. So you'll see signs with the accessible permit logos, so the wheelchair picture, and you'll see no standing loading zones. So that is meant for people with a permit, but temporarily for 15 minutes to load or unload someone with mobility issues.
Right on.
There you go.
Tracy Bell says, are the bears like the one behind you available for purchase? Sadly, no. That is Buddy. He's a one-of-a-kind. He's wearing a modified police uniform. It's an actual uniform, very small, that someone tailored to fit him, and he's wearing an actual police hat with an actual badge, and he is one of a kind. But there are stuffed stuff, two different kinds?
Two plushies.
Two plushies that are available at TPS Gift Shop. It's a great opportunity for us to talk about the gift shop, if I can find out what the link is, because I can't think of what it is right now. Hang on one second. It's the 808 Gift Shop. 808 is the prefix for our telephone number. 808 if you're calling. 808-2222 is our non-emergency line. And let me see here. I saw a promo. I'm sliding through here. Yeah, there it is. TorontoPoliceGiftShop.ca. TorontoPoliceGiftShop.ca. They're available. Whatever they have is, you can call them at 416-808-7024. That's gift.shop@tps.ca if you want stuff, not that, but other stuff. Okay. Let's see here. Here's a Rob Baker question about parking. What if vehicle parked illegal but has no plates? Wait, let me unmute you. Go ahead.
Sorry. Took the headphones off for a second.
You don't need to put the headphones on.
Oh, I don't. Yeah,
you're right here.
Yeah, that's right. So unplated vehicles are not supposed to be parked on the street, and they will be towed and investigated.
Now, I understood that you cannot have in Toronto, not have an unplated vehicle in your driveway.
Yes, that's correct as well.
Because you said on the street, so I'm like, it's other.
Yeah. Anything unplated should just be away.
It'll be, yes.
In Toronto.
and actually, which kind of ties into this question: what is the fine if your truck is deleted? Well, that's easy. The truck isn't there anymore. It was deleted.
Deleted? What?
I think they meant exhaust, but I took it in a different direction. Yeah, if your vehicle has no exhaust system, which is what I assume when you say your truck is deleted. Well, obviously the situation is you are. If it's cat back deleted, if you've removed your muffler and resonators, that's obviously an improper muffler, improper exhaust, and probably making a whole lot of noise. So you, at very least, looking at unnecessary noise and improper muffler. But there could be more. And if it's something that involves your catalytic inverters, then it's Environmental Protection Act, and you could be looking at more issues and tickets. So don't delete things. Deleting bad. Let's see here. Okay. That's the second person who's asked. Second person in recent time to have asked about PA systems with can I have a PA system with Siren but not use the Siren? If your PA system that you're installing has a Siren function, it's illegal for you to put it in your car. You cannot have something capable of using it despite the fact that you don't press the button. There are systems that have electronic air horns that are illegal, that are only air horns. That's different. But and systems that are PA systems, again, you can't use it if it has a Siren function. Scott Marshall is in the room. My buddy Scott Marshall. He's the safe driver. You should follow him on TikTok and everywhere. He's a podcaster. He's a blogger. He's a man about town. But he is a master driver instructor. He teaches driving instructors to be driving instructors. And he knows lots of stuff. And he is going to, he was our regular Friday. And I say that because we used to do a show every single day where we interviewed people who are, masters of their own domain. They are folks who are experts in their field, and he is an expert driving instructor. So every Friday he would join us and we talk about stuff and things. We're getting back to that. Now, we don't do it every day, but we will be doing it on a regular basis. And I look forward to bringing you content, which is now available in podcast form. You can get us at, where are you going to get us? You can get us on anywhere that you get podcasts. Apple, was that? Spotify, yeah, because we're using Anchor. And you can get us via Spotify. You can get us Apple Podcasts, and it's called TPS Traffic Jam because we're jamming about traffic. So you see what I did there? So you can download it. We have one episode up right now. That's with the folks at Turf. You can also watch that episode on our YouTube channel. But if you want to listen to it while you're driving, the podcast is the way to go. Lots of you asked for it. We gave it to you. Questions about debadging other people's cars? So debadging a vehicle is where you take off the markers, not markers for license plate, but markers for, whether it says Ford or the model. You can take it off your car. Taking it off somebody else's car, that would be theft or mischief or both. Let's see here. Oh, we're going to lose. Okay, we are 5 minutes away from saying goodbye to Instagram. Not because we don't love you. It's just because since the new changes to Instagram TV disappearing, we are not verified on Instagram. We are who we are. We know who we are, but Instagram is waiting with our application. And as a result, we can't broadcast for more than an hour in a live. So if you'd like to stay with us for more than the next 5 minutes, drop over to YouTube or any one of our other platforms. So question about my experience with car meets culture as a cop. I'm a motorcycle guy. I used to go to parking lots and bike and car meets all the time. Great people who love cars like to share their love and passion for their motor vehicles. I think it's great. During the pandemic, obviously, there were issues with social distancing and making sure that we were adhering to all the rules and regulations. But it's a great thing. Car shows and opportunities to be social are great. It's when people do illegal things at those events or at events that are targeting and promoting illegal activity, like the Takeover Toronto kind of stuff that was taking place during the pandemic, then that's not good. So my experience has been very positive, except for the experience with the not so positive stuff. It's about safety. It's about, promoting good stuff. I don't know. What else can we talk about? Car meets are cool. Unless people do bad things. Q gave a thumbs up. A very quiet one. All right. Tesla comes with a PA and loudspeakers, though. Does that make all Teslas illegal? No, the PA is not the issue. It's the siren. It's the function of making a police siren sound. But Rob Baker wanted to clarify. No, and I've seen they do some pretty cool stuff. But yeah, the PA itself is not a problem. It is it could be unnecessary noise if you're making all sorts of silliness come out of there. That could be a charge for its use, but having it there isn't a problem. Okay. Is a smoked license plate cover illegal in Ontario? Yes, it is illegal. Any cover is illegal. We talked about that a few moments ago. Do you know when the museum in Discovery? I don't know what the Discovery is. The museum at Toronto Police Headquarters is, I think, what Ashton is talking about. They are not yet open. And I think if you want to go, you have to call the front desk to make sure they're available and open on that day. But you can call the front desk, and you can call the gift shop, too.
John, it is the Museum and Discovery Center.
Oh, is that what it's called?
That's what it's called.
Oh, see, I thought it was the museum. I didn't know it was the museum and Discovery. So okay, thank you.
Here to help, Sean. Here to help.
And you're hearing from Sergeant Murray Campbell. He is a media relations officer here. He is the sergeant of the Towing and Pounds. He all-around good guy and knowing of many things. And the microphone's on. Let's see here. What's going on in your world today?
In my world today, busy.
Busy. It's always busy here.
Lots of stuff. Towing takes up an awful lot of my time. We tow about 30,000 cars a year, so sometimes there's issues.
We just lost Instagram. They have said goodbye. There was a question that actually related to towing and impound a little while ago, and they were asking about the towing pilot that the OPP is doing. They wanted to know if it was going well. Do you have any info or feedback about that?
Well, I actually just got off a meeting with the Ministry of Transportation right now, discussing sort of narrowing down specifics as it refers to Toronto Police going on the provincial highway and having to impound vehicles. So we're going to have to come up with an agreement or an understanding of how we're going to do this and work collaboratively with them.
Cool. There's so much. It's ever changing. Everything that goes on in a city, cities are living and breathing things, and the laws that keep them safe are always being reevaluated and discussed. So it's interesting to get updates on that kind of stuff.
There's definitely a need for the ministry to do that. I'm glad they've started it, and it's there just to protect people.
Very cool. Let's see here. Is there an option to report erratic driving caught on Dashcam with license plates visible on the record? So yes, there is. And Rob Baker followed up into the chat saying that you have to have, it's a fines committing offense. If you submit a complaint about an area, about a consistent issue with an area, then we can start looking at that area for enforcement. If you're making reports, and there's a separate tab on our website under the core, which is www.torontopolice.owen.ca/CORE, that you can report a specific driver and vehicle. So if you have video, that's great. You can add a link to that and send it to us. Generally speaking, charges are not laid because we cannot identify the driver. However, if we had everything that we needed, it's possible to lay a charge. If we knew exactly when it took place, where it took place, the location, the driver's identity, the vehicle. It's just, generally speaking, we don't have enough information. That's not to say we don't appreciate the report and that we can't build a file and contact the registered owner and say, hey, at this date and time you were observed doing ABC. These things happen. And eventually something happens another time. Maybe they got into a collision, and now that information becomes part of a report.
And Sean, it is not a fines committing offense. For example, we go to collision scenes that the collisions have already happened. And we go there, gather the evidence, and we may lead charges as a result. So, no, it's not a fine committing. We don't have to be there to see it. We can gather evidence in other ways and still lay the charge.
And again, it's the elements of that offense that we need to be able to cover, which is identity being one of them for a police officer to lay a charge. When it comes to, for instance, someone running a stop sign, if we simply get a video, as long as we have enough information, then it's possible. But thank you for correcting Rob. Oh, Rob says fines committee was speeding. I meant. We have to be able to verify the speed. But still, I've never seen anybody with a radar detector or radar gun other than me. But it's interesting. Generally speaking, yeah. Okay. But fines committing is usually the terminology is not usually used for anything other than criminal. That's how we generally describe it. It's written into the criminal code.
Yeah, there's a couple of terms that are. It's not only specific to the criminal code, fines committing offense, but yeah.
It's just, you know what? Here's the thing. I hesitate to say one way or another, only because I only write tickets when I write tickets because I write tickets.
Right, but you write tickets
based on my own observations,
or you write tickets.
Well, outside of the collision stuff.
Through witness statements, through video, through...
But I should say I've never personally written a ticket for someone speeding when I didn't catch them speeding.
Speeding? No.
Yeah. Just now Rob's making me go read sections. I love when I have to read things. Actually, I do appreciate when I have to study up because I want to know where you're coming from. All right. Is auto show and opening door for police happening? I don't know. Oh, I believe that auto shows and motorcycle shows are active. I don't know about open doors for the summer. I haven't heard anything about it, but I think that would be great if it does. I know our stations are reopening for public access, but I don't know if we're having that particular event or not. What is this? Is it okay to have white LEDs in your headlight? You mean LED headlights or white LEDs in your headlight housing? White and yellow are colors that are permitted. I don't know if I don't think there's any issue with having LEDs that are not projecting but are just illuminating the housing, because it's an approved color. If you had purple, green, and orange, that would be illegal. Not specifically those colors, but anything other than white or yellow. Let's see here. I want to pick one last one because we are over time. It's 5 minutes after 11, and we have to go and do other stuff. But let's see here. Here's a good question. What kind of authority do police have when they're off duty? Well, we may not be working, but we're always police officers, and as such, we always have police authority. Now, does that mean that every police officer will arrest for everything when they see it? Well, if I'm with my wife and kids, I probably won't. But you know what I will be is the best witness I can be and activate police to come and help. And that happens to me all the time because I can't turn off the cop, and 2, I'm legally obligated to act in many situations. Anything to add on that one, Serge?
No, I totally agree with you. We usually phone a friend, phone a colleague.
Yes, it's like that. What is that? What was that TV show where you phoned a friend? Deal or No Deal? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah.
We phone a friend. We're not going to become millionaires. This is not a millionaire job, but it is one where we are fortunate to be part of a team of people who, come and back us up.
You know, it just makes the logistics and the paperwork a little bit easier when somebody's working and has all the tools with them.
Absolutely. Let's see here. What would make a traffic cop pull over a motorcycle? I said it was the last question, but I pulled one more question. It just caught my eye. Anything that is a violation. Oh, you almost spat your coffee everywhere. Yeah, listen, we are simple creatures. When we see something that is wrong, we don't just generally just randomly pull someone over. It's for a reason, and a violation is one of those reasons, or equipment issues, or helmet issues, which is still equipment, or driver behavior, or noise. Like anything is a violation. Yeah.
John, what about just to check and see if they're licensed, if they have insurance?
Yes, so under the we do have the authority to stop anyone to verify that they are licensed drivers, to verify the status of their insurance, to check their sobriety. So those are reasons, but those are still reasons. It's not just for no reason. So those are all, especially with motorcycles, we tend to see a lot of unlicensed or improperly licensed drivers. So, but to me, that's not just a random thing. If I see you do something that doesn't look like safe operation, I will pull you over to verify that you're properly licensed and you know what you're doing. So to me, that's all based on it's all based on behavior. Okay, that's it. That's all. We're saying goodbye. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Come join us for a full hour when we do this all over again. It's been a blast. Follow us if you don't follow us. Like us. I was going to say, like us if you don't like us. No, like us because you do like us, and share our feed and our content so we can get more people to see what we're sharing. And find us on the what's it called? Anchor. No, it's not Anchor. It's everywhere. Everywhere podcasts are available. TPS Traffic Jam. We'll see you soon.
It's not on.
It's going to be on. There we go. A little outro music.
Bye, TikTok.
What you say?